To our Tuesday check-in here at Westminster United Church in Thunder Bay. If this is your first time with us, I'll extend a special welcome to you, and I hope you can join us again for another one of our Facebook Live broadcasts some other time. We're live here on our Facebook page on Tuesdays at 11 for a check-in, Thursdays 7 p.m. for evening prayer, and Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for prayer and reflection prior to the shared worship service over at the Trinity website, in which all of the United Churches locally take part, and that starts at 10:30 Sunday mornings. So stay tuned to your worship notes if you're on our email list, and you can keep up with what's happening over at the church. If you want to be on that list and aren't, just leave a message for us, and we'll make sure that happens. The garden, I believe, we're still looking for a few folks to water and weed through the month of August. And there goes the sign. Thank you, Sprite. My coworkers are helpful this morning. So if you can help with gardening, watering and weeding, that would be really helpful. Just leave a message at the church and we'll make sure to put you in contact with Bev, who's making sure that all of that happens this summer. And thank you to Bev for doing that, for coordinating our garden workers this summer. It's a big job to keep everybody on the schedule, and we do appreciate it. So for my check-in this morning, I wanted to talk about an old TV program. And by old, I mean it ran from 1985 to 1994. So I had to go back and do a bit of research to refresh my memory. But do you remember a show called MacGyver? The main character is Angus Mac MacGyver, and he possesses a genius-level intellect, proficiency in multiple languages, engineering skills, knowledge of applied physics, military training in bomb disposal, and a preference for non-lethal resolution to conflicts. For all of that, thank you, Wikipedia. So in the show, MacGyver worked for a fictional organization called the Phoenix Foundation, which was an independent think tank. So in addition to his science knowledge and inventive use of common items such as a Swiss Army knife, he refused to carry a gun. He was 100% nonviolent. And he only used physical force as self-defense. So it occurred to me that these days, the character's name has been morphed into a verb. You hear people say something like, oh, we MacGyvered a fix for that. To MacGyver something is to repair or set something right with an unorthodox method using whatever materials you might have at hand. So on the show, MacGyver's most used item was a Swiss Army knife, and he also carried a roll of duct tape in his back pocket, flattened out to make it fit. Other items he had were an ID card, a Timex camper watch, strike anywhere matches, a few paper clips, chewing gum, and a flashlight. So it turns out some MacGyvering happened in our household recently. Not by me, because I'm just not that clever. But my husband Peter managed to fix a broken sliding closet door in our hallway, and he found some interesting parts from something in his toolbox, and now the closet door works better than ever. So that was pretty brilliant. And then this past week, on one of the hottest days, he fixed our air conditioner. He claimed it was an easy fix, but I thought it was a little bit of a work of magic. Again, he needed his oversized toolbox filled with magical items and whatever other mysteries lurk in the bottom of that box. But he got it fixed. I was so happy. So what have you MacGyvered in your life? When has a little bit of resourcefulness come in really handy for you? Now, I'm not a camper, you know that. I don't do tents. But it seems to me that if you're someone who packs up your car with a tent and everything you need to be in the great outdoors for any extended period of time, you've probably had to sort out some things at the campsite that require a bit of resourcefulness, a bit of MacGyvering. So basically, MacGyvering is about using your imagination to make do with what you've got. I suspect that over the past 4 months or so, many of us have had to make do with either a temporary fix or a permanent one done without the help of an expert. Making do has sort of been a theme of this pandemic. If you're a regular library user, perhaps you've had to acquaint yourself with ebooks and audiobooks during this time. I know a few people who made the best use of their self-isolation by sewing cloth face masks with scraps of fabric they happened to be saving. I read about an art gallery in Finland that worked out a clever way to display their current exhibition through the COVID isolation time. They moved all of the art pieces into a place in the gallery where, with some creative use of lighting, people could see the exhibit from outside through the vast glass windows of the building. The lighting was changed depending on whether it was daytime or nighttime. A Canadian anesthetist with a PhD in diaphragmatic mechanics found a way to make one ventilator serve 2 patients at the same time, easing the ICU burden on a smaller hospital. Now that is some next level MacGyvering. Stickers on the floor of the grocery store, plexiglass shields, window visits via cell phone, and so much more have helped us to make do during this pandemic. In our house, it's made for some creative meal planning at times. We have our groceries delivered every other week. We've done that for a long time. But during this pandemic, we've done that without any trips to the store in between. Pre-COVID, we would augment our twice monthly deliveries with quick trips for a few things, which always turned into more than a few things. But without those extra shopping trips, we've become accustomed to getting within a day or so of our grocery delivery, and finding the fridge and freezer looking decidedly spacious. And that's a good thing. That means very little food is wasted, and we seldom find mysterious containers at the back of the fridge or freezer with unidentified things in them that just need to be thrown away. However, those few days prior to grocery day call for some creative cuisine in order to use up what's left. Now, Peter's the chef in our family, I'm not, and he's made some really great, interesting meals, making do with what we've got. I feel like that's what we've been doing as a church as well, making do. All these months of isolation have worked for us in Canada. Thanks to our governments, local, provincial, and federal, we have listened to the science of coronavirus, and we've had the right guidance from the start. We know what works. Wearing masks, using disinfectant wipes, washing our hands often and well, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters, coughing into our elbows, and stopping all activities in which large crowds gather. That last one, stopping all activities in which large crowds gather. That one has had the greatest effect on us as the church, but we've made do. We've had to be creative about the best ways to be church together when we can't be together. We've had an online presence throughout, and we plan to continue that. We've had our own broadcasts here on the Facebook page, and we've participated every week in the service over at Trinity. You may not see me over there, but I submit prayers and liturgies every week, so Westminster is represented. We've had weekly emails and mail outs to keep you informed. And we've got some great folks staying in touch with regular phone calls and cards from our church in order for all of us to stay more connected. We are still the church. Perhaps a MacGyvered version of the church, but the church nonetheless. And we will need more of that resourcefulness that we've found in these months. We'll need more of the ingenuity as we plan to move forward to an eventual return to our building. Make no mistake, things will be different. The board and a special reopening committee are working on the necessary steps to get us back into the sanctuary, hopefully sometime in September. We're using the Thunder Bay District Health Unit guidelines for churches, and we're looking at all of the possible protocols that will keep everyone as safe as possible. We'll keep you informed on any new developments as we move forward. And yes, we'll be using our imaginations and relying on the experts. And one way or another, MacGyvered or otherwise, we will be back together. That's about it for me this morning. I hope you're enjoying these warm days of summer, and I hope you're keeping well. Please join me here again Thursday evening, 7 p.m. for a time of evening prayer. And until then, be safe, be well, be kind.